tonight, or I should say presenter, is actually a good friend of mine. This is Shannon Lambert. She is the Executive Director of the Pickens County Advocacy Center. So, just a little bit about our partnership. All of you know, or should know, what Title IX is. If not, just briefly, it's federal legislation that says that we need to prevent gender discrimination in our educational programs, athletics being one of those educational programs. When I was named Title IX coordinator back in 2013, 2014, it was around the same time that Shannon came on board as well. And when she started, she really helped me start thinking about what does our educational program look like? How do we stay in compliance with federal legislation? I could tell you all the little things about her academic background and her professional background, but I know you probably don't care about any of that. So let me just say this. She has been a great friend to SWU, offering the services of her department, of her center, to all of us for free. She doesn't charge me anything for consulting. She doesn't charge us anything for having a victim advocate on our campus every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 12. Just in case you need somebody to talk to about some circumstances that you may be facing, or you have a friend or a teammate that is facing these situations that you can process and talk to. To have somebody on our campus willing to come, take time out of their evening just to be here with us and to just help us think critically about this topic. These are all things that I definitely appreciate, and I hope that you come to appreciate her as well. So if you could join me and give Shannon Lambert a big round of applause.
All right, good evening. Can you guys hear me in the back? Okay. I am having really bad allergies, and I did 5 presentations for middle school kids today. So my voice is probably going to crack a little bit, and hopefully it's going to last an hour, because you can hear it's already starting to crack. So it's going to be really important that you guys listen, so I don't have to try to be even louder. And I know that you guys are tired because you've been in school, you probably had practice, you probably want to eat again and go home and go to bed, right? Yeah. All right. So, and I'm probably going to cough a lot too. Sorry. So, Justin said a little bit about who I am and where I'm from, but my name is Shannon Lambert, and I am the Executive Director of the Pickens County Advocacy Center. And in case you don't know what exactly we do, we provide all of the sexual assault advocacy services for Pickens County. And Southern Wesleyan is in Pickens County. With that being said, what we do is we are on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So if there is a sexual assault victim that presents to the hospital, to the police department, or calls our hotline, one of our on-call victim advocates answers that phone call, goes to the hospital, and gives them information. As an adult, you have different ways of reporting a sexual assault, so we go over that. If they want a forensic medical exam at the hospital, we go through all of that information, and we stay with them through the entire process. So it is a very involved process, because anytime someone goes to the hospital for a forensic medical exam, it could take anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. Could you imagine going to the hospital by yourself after experiencing a trauma like that and being by yourself? That is why we are there to help them. We also provide follow-up services throughout a person's case, and that all depends if they want to report to law enforcement. If they're an adult, we help them through that process. We offer individual therapy for anyone ages 12 and up, and all of our services are for free, and that is due to us receiving federal funding from the CDC, from the Victims of Crime Act, and then a lot of community support. So that's one thing that I want you to think about, not that we're an agency that we talk about sexual assault. This is a community effort, and part of the community is Southern Wesleyan, and part of Southern Wesleyan are you guys, right, the students. Student athletes. So we've got, what, almost 250 students in here? Compare that to the rest of the student population of the campus. You guys are a huge percentage of this campus. So it is important not only for you to know and learn this information for yourselves, but also for your teammates, whether it is to pass along that information, whether it's to help out a friend, whether, you know, it's even to help out maybe a relative in the future, a family member, anything like that. Because this is a topic that people don't want to talk about. Am I correct? Because if I say the word sex, you should see the eyeballs that I just saw, okay? It is not a comfortable topic. That is the reason why people use sexual violence to take power and control over somebody. We are not talking about consensual sex tonight. We are talking about an act of violence. And because our bodies and the act of sex is such an intimate thing, that is why people use that for power and control. That is why people don't speak out after it happens. That is why people are afraid to get help, because they don't want to be judged, right? They don't want to be victim blamed. Because what do you usually hear in the news, social media? Why did she wait so long to report? Why are they coming out now? Why were they in that area? Why were they drinking? Right? Do people ask that when somebody gets robbed? Usually no. Do people ask that when someone gets murdered? Usually not, other than pure investigative purposes. But yeah, for some reason, sexual violence and sexual crimes tend to always come back to the victim as being responsible for it, and it's not so. So first of all, with you guys being part of the athletics population at the school, you probably heard a lot about bystander intervention. How many of you guys have heard that term? Raise your hand. Bystander intervention. Yeah, we got a few. Okay. So have you heard of what it means to be an upstander? All right, how many of you guys are lower classmen? You probably heard me speak about it at SWOOT orientation in the past couple of years, because I'm there. So if you were listening, you will know what an upstander means. But bystander intervention is one of the biggest community responses that we teach regarding having the community aware and involved in stepping in and stopping sexual violence or any type of violence that may go on. So what is an upstander? First of all, someone tell me what a bystander is. Give me a hand raise, sorry. There's too many of you in here. Someone, go ahead.
So somebody that just like stands by and just watches it happen and doesn't do anything about it?
Right, a bystander. How many of you guys have people watch you play sports? That's a bystander, right? They sit there, they watch you, they may yell, but hopefully they're not getting involved. So yes, that is a bystander. So being an upstander means that you don't sit around. It means that you step up and do what it takes. So why do people, do you think, not get involved when they see something going on?
They're scared.
They're scared, yeah, because say it's a physical altercation, you see a fight break out. You could get hurt, right? Yes? Yeah. So take me, I am 5'1". If I see 2 6'5" guys getting in a fist fight in the middle of downtown, do you think I'm much of a match for them? You do? I appreciate that. But yeah, I could get hurt very easily, right? With our society today, when a fight breaks out, what else do you have to be worried about now?
Facebook Live.
Well, Facebook Live, I heard gun. Yes. Weapons. So yes, weapons, guns, knives. Even if that's not present, think about cars. Think about some of the more recent terrorist acts where people were driving cars into groups of people to hurt them. So yeah, there are things that, you know, need to be potentially aware of? What else? Facebook Live is a good one, though. I do like that answer. Why? Everybody sees it. So if you are somewhere you're not supposed to be that night, and now you are on video along with that incident, could you potentially get in trouble? Maybe. Yeah? All right. What other reasons can you think of? Yes.
What was the question?
What reasons may you not get involved in an incident? It doesn't have anything to do with you, okay? That's a good answer. Because number one, you may not want to get involved, but there's several different ways that you can be involved. Number two, one of the answers that I get a lot is we figure somebody else is going to do something about it. Now that's the problem of having that assumption, because I did a six-week series with a fraternity at Clemson's campus, and I asked them over the weekend to bring me back examples of things that they saw. I had one guy give me a story, and he said that he was walking into the football game, the Clemson football game, and he saw a girl that was passed out in her own vomit about 20 feet away from the stadium. So I asked him, I said, "What did you do?" And he said, "I went in the stadium and took my seat." So, and of course, some of his fraternity brothers were like, "Man, why did you say that?" I'm like, "No, he's being honest. Let's process this." So I said, "Why did you keep walking and go get your seat?" And he said, "Well, there was a big group of people around her. So I figured somebody else had done something about it." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "So what were they doing? What do you think they were doing?" They were taking video and pictures of her passed out. There was not a single medical professional or a police officer assisting her. So I said, "What do you think the chances are that they actually did something to help this girl?" And he was like, "I don't know." So then I turned it on him a little bit. I said, "So did you hear any kind of, Clemson alert that a student died on campus?" He was like, "No." So I figured she was okay. I'm like, "All right." I said, "It could have not been a Clemson student." So then I asked him, I said, "What would you have done if you had found out Sunday morning that that was at University of Georgia and that was your sister?" His face became really solemn then, because he was like, "I didn't think of that." I said, "From now on, when you see something happening, don't assume that help is coming unless you ask or do it yourself. And understand that no matter who it is, that could be your brother, that could be your father, it could be your sister, it could be your mother. So unless someone is just, completely alone in the world, there is someone else that cares about that person. And think about the potential consequences of you not getting involved. So why should you get involved? It's the right thing to do. Yes. What else?
You would want somebody to do it for you.
Yeah, that is a good one right there. Yeah. So say, say that I'm driving through downtown Central at a whopping 25 miles an hour, and someone comes out of the side street and runs into my car. All right? Central's pretty small, so hopefully police will get there quick. But if they don't, and I've got cars zipping by me, all right? No one stops to help. What could potentially be the consequences? I could be hurt, right? have 2 young children. So what if my 3.5-year-old and my 1.5-year-old are in the back of the car with me? What if they need help more than I do, but I can't get to them? So yeah, I would definitely, I always try now to put myself into other people's places, because you never know what is going on. Here's a funny story for you. Please don't laugh too hard. Halloween this year, my husband was out of town, took my kids trick-or-treating, and I stopped to fill up my truck with gas. I constantly forget that I have a total knee replacement in my left knee, and it does not bend as good as it, did when it was normal. And so I decided that I was going to step over the gas hose. And when I did, of course, my knee didn't bend quite so much, and my foot caught, and I did a header into the brick pole at Ingles. You know how the gas poles are brick? So I proceeded to hit with my shoulder. I felt clunk, kept going, felt clunk, clunk. So it popped back in, and then I face planted on the concrete. What's that? So I am laying on the concrete. 2 kids are in the back of my truck, and I'm sitting there going, and of course I yelled. There were at least 6 other people pumping gas. Not a single person came over to see if I was okay. Not a single person. Now, I don't know if maybe I scared them with my yelling or what, but after I pulled myself up and realized that I could somewhat still move my arm, I started thinking. I was like, what would have happened if I had hit my head and it had knocked me out? I got a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old in the back of my truck. I mean, I guess they would eventually scream loud enough that someone would have come to help us. But yeah, it really scared me, because I was like, there are all these people in our little town of Central that's supposed to be, so full of community, and not a single person. I mean, you could hear me hit the pavement. I mean, it was loud. I mean, it was not a light fall. But yeah, so what would have happened if I was just there passed out, 2 kids in the car, and no one was there to help me? It could have been, really dangerous. All right, so how to get involved with bystander intervention. When I tell you this, I'm not telling you that I want you to jump into a situation that could cause you harm, okay? Because that is something that you definitely need to assess. So if you do see an incident, first of all, think about how you could help and how you should help, all right? Like my earlier example, if I see 2 guys that are 6'5" having a fist fight, I am not going to jump in the middle of them, all right? Because I am 5'1", and it's not going to happen. But what can I do?
Call the police.
Call the police, yes. I heard get a mail. But here's the thing. If you have 2 big guys duking it out, do I really want to put someone else in harm's way? No. So calling the police, yes. So what you need to do, there's 3 D's for bystander intervention. The first one is distract. The second one is delegate, and the third one is direct. So if, say you are out hanging out after practice and someone comes up to you and was like, hey, do you want to go downtown and have a beer? All right? All right. So, direct. What would be a direct response to turn that person down?
No.
No. Yeah. So you can simply say no. Alright, so distract. What could be a way to give an answer that is not as direct, but maybe distract?
Ask about the weather.
What? Ask about the weather, okay. So you could say something like, hey, don't you have a midterm to study for tonight? Don't you think you should be studying rather than going downtown? I've got to go do a bunch of studying. Shh. instead of, completely shutting down or distracting, you could come up with a compromise and be like, hey, I'm really not into that right now, tonight. Why don't we wait till, say, midterms are over and we can go downtown and get something to eat, all right? So you can take those 3 Ds and use them for just about anything. And it will help you if you don't feel comfortable in a one-on-one situation saying, no, I don't want to do that. Now, you always need to look out for your personal safety, like I said before. You also need to look out for other people's safety. Because, like SWU is literally, just a couple of miles from, Central, from downtown Clemson. You have a large mixture of people that you don't know their backgrounds, you don't know where they come from, you don't know their intentions. So it's very important for you to have that awareness. All right, does anybody have any questions about that so far? All right, I'm gonna get a call. All right, so the next part, and one reason why I really wanted to talk about bystander intervention with you guys is because as student athletes on this campus, you guys are looked upon as leaders. All right? Other students look up to you. They look up to your accomplishments, what you do, whether you're running track, whether you're doing hurdles. We were just talking about that earlier. Whether whatever sport you play, you are representing the school, and you're also representing your other classmates. All right. So signs of interpersonal violence, and this is where we're going to get a little bit more into talking about sexual assault prevention. So interpersonal violence, it is a very broad topic because we're actually talking about domestic violence and we're talking about sexual violence. So I want you guys to be aware of both because it can start very young, even in middle school and high school, continue through college, and then, unfortunately become much worse as you get older. But even in the college setting, some of these signs can start to show when you're in a relationship with somebody. So if you look at people trying to isolate you from your friends and your family. So instead of, now I know when you first start dating someone, you want to spend a lot of time with them and you do everything together and you're attached at the hip and it's fun. But if it grows into someone constantly calling you, checking up on you, wanting to know where you're at, saying, why are you spending time with your friends tonight? You need to be at home, you need to be watching a movie with me, or, all this type of stuff. If it starts to feel like they are constantly trying to control all of your time, that is an issue, okay? Because it will only get worse. With constantly checking in and up on you. I know you guys, it's a different era with social media and cell phones. So it's kind of the thing to always know where people are. But if you can't get through a class without your other half checking up on you, do you think that's a problem? Yeah, absolutely. Because they are distracting you from what you're supposed to be doing, right? What's your primary job right now? To be a college student, to be a student athlete. That is your primary job. So if they're distracting you from that, then they are not wanting your best wishes. All right, guys, keep it together for me. All right, not supporting your goals and activities. So you guys have specific goals right now, right, with school, with your sport, with what you want to do when you graduate. So say you have aspirations that after you graduate from SWU, you want to go into medical school or you want to go into law school. But the person that you're dating, and may have been dating for a while, is like, hey, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to go to school for that much longer? Why don't you just, just graduate and coach somewhere and, we'll just, get married and move in. And if that is not your goal, but they are pushing for that to be your goal, that is a problem. Controlling where you go, what you wear, and who you talk to. So if they're constantly showing that controlling behavior. Also, and this starts going into the stalking category, but if you start getting text messages or phone calls and they say, hey, I thought you said you were having lunch at blah, blah, blah. Why did you go to Fiesta? Should they be keeping that close of tabs on you to know that you went to Fiesta instead of the dining hall? No, absolutely not. Verbal abuse. So, of course, name calling, putting you down in front of others, manipulating, and threats. If you're in a group of people and your significant other is making fun of you and putting you down in front of your friends and in front of their friends, that is a major issue. Your significant other should be lifting you up. It should be singing your praises. And you should be doing the same for them. It's equal balance of power. And then physical abuse. When you're in a dating relationship, it should never, ever get physical. All right? It doesn't matter if it's pushing. It doesn't matter if it's a light tap in the face that's joking. That is not cute. That is not funny. Because most of the time, what it is, it's a test. All right? Because people that engage in abusers and perpetrators that engage in domestic violence and sexual violence, they don't usually start off with, hey, you want to go out on a date and I'm going to punch you in the face. Because would they get very far? Usually not. It is a gradual grooming process that cycles. Alright? Alright, so it is time to do some of our scenarios. Alright, so I want the girls first. The girls, everybody quiet, girls, here. Go ahead and do the celebrations after the wins. And then when you do your little dancer, then when you're done, we'll talk about you back to the well, after we're going to do that one, we're going to talk about it. Alright, get up there. We're going to do celebrations. Okay? Alright, quiet guys. Alright, quiet.
Guys, let's listen, okay? You guys are doing awesome. Let's keep it up.
Alright, so the first scenario that we're going to be talking about is celebrations after a win. Alright, ladies, you got it? Yeah, we got it.
Hey girls, I just heard you had a big conference when y'all go downtown to drink.
Yeah!
If we pass out, we be back for tomorrow though. We straight. I'll let you, bro.
Alright, we're going to do this one first.
Oh, you about to talk?
Yeah. Okay. If you guys want to go. Okay, so in their little scenario, they're talking about, what did you win?
Conference.
Conference. All right, one conference. So they want to go downtown and drink. All right, so appropriate versus inappropriate wins. All right, so we are going to be talking about this in the realm of your SWU code of conduct, right? Because as a SWU student, and especially as a SWU athlete, you agree to this code of conduct, correct? Yes. All right. So, was that an appropriate celebration after a win? No, absolutely not. All right. Now, if you were 21 and at a different school that did not have that code of conduct, then yes, it could be. But we're going in your guidelines. So, what would be an appropriate celebration after a win? Raise your hand. Go ahead. Gray shirt.
Going to cookout?
Go to cookout. Alright. So yeah, going out to eat. Do you guys usually go back and hang out as a team? Maybe? Alright. So, here's the thing. So with you guys being on a small campus and having a larger university close to you, there is, celebrating off campus. Now that doesn't mean that it's always inappropriate, right? Because you can go downtown Clemson and go have dinner and that's an appropriate celebration, right? But one thing to think about, not only as athletes, like I said, with this code of conduct, what you are doing is you have to understand if your values, your personal values, are in line with your school's values. Because it's not just that it's a rule, okay? You also have to think about if you decide to break those rules, what those consequences are, and if it's really worth it, even on a personal value level. Like the last thing that I could possibly think is fun now, being 40 years old, is going out and getting hammered and having a horrible hangover the next day. But are my priorities different? Absolutely. Because if I did that, my 1.5-year-old would wake up at 2 o'clock and ruin my life for the next 3 days because I'd never recover. So it's just something that you have to think about, not only what are these choices that I'm making. Even if I do decide to break the code of conduct, which I am not advocating for, what are the consequences? Not only with your school, but also with what happens if you get in trouble downtown. You get arrested. You get a DUI. Can you imagine all of the consequences both at your school and in your life that would be coming to you? Yeah. And that is a lot of consequences for one little celebration. All right, so the girls are now going to do the next one about spreading rumors. You guys ready?
Okay, here we go.
He's like, what sport do they even play?
I got on with it.
Like, come on.
What are those?
I think it's we done? Yeah,
If you're done, you're done. All right. Give them a round of applause. This is all right, so how many of you guys went to a high school that was bigger than Swoop? All right, yes. So, was it a culture shift for you coming to a smaller school? Yeah, absolutely. Not only is Southern Wesleyan a small campus, this county is a very small, well-connected county, all right? So even me, living in this county, because I literally live, I think, a half a mile from here, and with what I do, a lot of people know, they may not know me personally, but know who I am, and people talk, right? So it's not just this community. So why is it a negative thing to spread rumors? It's going to get back to the person, get something started. What are the chances that the rumor that you heard is actually true? About 50%, yeah. And then when you tell your side of the rumor to somebody else, it diminishes probably about 10% to 20%, and then it keeps spreading and spreading. So it could be that Joey is dating a sorority girl at Clemson, and now he's dating a drug addict that lives in Athens, Georgia. Okay? But think about it. Think about some of the rumors that you have heard on this campus. Here's the thing. Is it worth spreading something just because it's entertainment at the time? No. Because if you're spreading those rumors, how quickly do you think someone's going to spread something about you? Yeah, because you have already shown yourself as a non-trustworthy person, right? Think about what the content of those rumors are. So even, we'll use an example with my office. We're on SWU's campus Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. If one of you guys see one of your classmates coming into our office and like, ooh, we know why she's going in there. And then you tell somebody, and you tell somebody else, and then all of a sudden this rumor gets started that such and such did this or this happened to them. That could not even be the reason that they came into our office at SWU, right? They could be an intern with us, because we have lots of SWU interns. They could be working on Sexual Assault Awareness Month activities with us. And a small rumor got turned into a major ordeal just because of where someone was at a particular time. So make sure that before you talk about something, you understand that, is it any of my business, first of all? That's one of the things, this is a conversation me and my 3.5-year-old have all the time. Mommy, why does blah, blah, blah? Is it any of your business? Oh, ma'am. 3.5-year-old gets it. We need to be better about it as adults, because all adults are like this. Because we think we got something good, we want to share it, because then it gives us the upper hand on somebody. And all it does is spread nastiness. All right, so where are my guys at?
You saw that girl at the cab today with those yoga pants on. Which one?
Hey, you talking about bikini season, bro.
Alright, so I did not realize that I was going to get sexually harassed.
Two seasons.
Yeah. Alright. So, you scared me.
Oh, you scared me.
Alright, so I don't even know what they talked about to the term boys will be boys, right? Yeah. Huh? Where? In the locker rooms, on the fields, all that kind of stuff. You don't have locker rooms? Okay. Well, so, all right, just roll with me here. All right, so, conversations, and this happens between girls too, all right? I'm not oblivious to that. I know it happens. So, what is inappropriate versus appropriate conversation between each other?
You asking us?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have been talking about her yoga pants and like disrespecting her like that.
We need to talk about her personality.
Let's be realistic, okay? Is it okay to talk about how you think a girl may be hot? Yeah. It is okay because, all right, when you are first attracted to someone, are you attracted to their personality?
No.
The absolute first sense that you use when you look at someone else is with your eyes. That is a fact, okay? I'm not naive to that. So, you can comment on their appearance as long as it is appropriate, okay? So, if you think that she's hot, if you think that she's pretty, whatever it may be, that is okay to say. But if you are focusing in on, that is all you're talking about is how she looks in yoga pants, then you need to kind of think and take a step back. All right, now that was very minor, all right? So I know how conversations go, so just take that with a grain of salt in what other conversations could be. So, why is it not okay even if it stays in the locker room? Raise your hand and be loud.
It doesn't stay in the locker room.
It doesn't stay in the locker room. Very good. Also, if you take that subject matter and make it 50 times more inappropriate, you are just spreading that you objectify that person, right? You're not talking about how you are just attracted to her, or you want to get to know her, or you want to go out with her, that type of thing. It is purely a sexual objectification, all right? That is one of the things that continues victim blaming in our society. It continues having all of these conversations that are going on in the news, that's going on in social media of why. Because as a culture, we're continuing to allow this to happen. Now, whose job is it to stand up and say, dude, that's not cool? Everybody's, every single person. All right, even if you are a girl, all right, everyone needs to step in and say that. Now, how many of you guys have seen on television and on social media the No More slogan? It's on Law and Order, SVU. It's actually, that term came from the Joyful Heart Foundation, which Mariska Hargitay founded. The reason why that statement was promoted is because it was an easy way for men to step up and stop victim blaming and stop the subjectification. I can't really talk right now. Because it's not cool to say, hey man, you know, I really don't like the way that you're talking about her. You really need to focus on her personality and how she feels. Is that a difficult conversation and very awkward to have with your buddy? Yeah. But it is. But you can say, dude, no more. Stop. 2 words. That is why they came up with that. So it is easier for men to step up and have that conversation. All right, next skip. here's the biggie.
Call somebody?
Hello? Yeah. No. I haven't thought about it. Yeah, I'm ready. All right, come by. I bet.
Who was that? Was that her?
So y'all boys know how, me and, Sally, baby girl, been, Oh, 7 months, she was like, oh, the best thing I ever had, yada, 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 this, that, and...
Netflix and chill. That's what she wants.
Fuck Netflix.
Okay. Are you down for it?
Really? Of course.
But 7 months?
Man, dude, excuse me.
7 months?
7 months? Bro, I done took this girl to the cookout. I don't care. I bought her apple pie from McDonald's. Bro, that's my whole work study. I'm getting mine.
Socks?
And as long as it's safe, it's okay.
And she said she wants it.
And she was on the phone. She was like, I want you.
Do you think it's gonna hurt your relationship?
It's not gonna, bro, it's gonna make it stronger. Bro, put yourself in my shoes. I couldn't. You see me. Bro, you see me. No, you see me. No. So what am I gonna do? No. So you want me to just tell her no? N-O. She's got the no. So you want me to wait till you open the face. So wait like 1 more month? A week. A few hours. Till you're married. That's a long time. I'm only a sophomore. We only got time.
Alright, so you'll wait.
Alright.
Sing.
Alright, they did very good with that one. I was kind of worried how that was going. Thank you. Alright, so with that situation, usually as teammates, you guys get pretty close, right? So you should know maybe a little bit more than some of your normal classmates about, who you hang out with, who you're dating. You may overhear things. So do you think it's your business as a friend and a teammate to intervene in situations like this? Not really? I see yeses. So, here's the thing. Yet again, we're coming back and we're talking in the parameters of you guys being in school, okay? You guys know what the consequences are if you break the code of conduct. Now, I feel that as a teammate and as a friend, if one of your teammates is engaging in any type of activity, any type, okay, that could get them in trouble with the police, with school, with their team, it is your duty as a friend to at least say, hey, have you thought about this? All right? Is it going to be their ultimate decision? Yeah, because as human beings, we have free will. We're going to do what we want to. But a lot of times, it may just take one person to give an alternate idea, share what a consequence may be like, hey, think about this. How is this going to impact you a month from now, a year from now, or maybe even the rest of your life? Because a lot of the choices that you're making now are going to affect those things. And I know it's hard to think about that. I didn't think about that when I was in college, I'll be honest with you, okay? I was lucky I never did anything dumb enough to get me in a lot of trouble. But I also had some good friends along the way that said, hey, what are you doing? You know? How should you support your friends with sensitive topics? Whether it's talking about drinking, whether it's talking about dating someone that may not be good for them. How do you think you should approach that? Yes?
Speak the hard truth.
Speak the hard truth? Okay.
You can't be hypocritical about it. If
Can't-
you're not doing it, then you can't talk about it.
Okay.
If you're doing it, you can't talk to them about it.
Yeah, I like that. Or if you have learned from your mistakes, be upfront about it, right? So yeah, that could potentially be a catch-22 there. Yes?
Walking through the process.
Walk them through the process. Yeah, because a lot of times, if it's going to be a very gratifying, instant type of thing, you're not thinking about an hour down the road or a week down the road or a month down the road, right? You know, when I used to have access to my father's Corvette in high school, I didn't think about that speeding ticket or wrecking it or anything else. I thought about that shiny red car that I got to drive around at 100 miles an hour. Were there a lot of consequences there? Absolutely. Did I get lucky? Yes, I did. But that is why, as a friend, and I have friends now that I have very close conversations with, and Justin can tell you that sometimes I do not have the mildest temperament. And I have certain people that I bounce things off of. So if I'm upset or frustrated, instead of me doing what I used to do and lashing out and taking care of it right away, now I have people that I process that with. That can be like, no, you are way overreacting. Also, using peer pressure for positive means. You usually always hear about peer pressure being negative, right? It can be a very positive thing. So if you've got a couple of people on your team that are doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, you can have your teammates with yourself rounding up and supporting that person and showing them that you are there to support them, you're there to help, and to lead them into a positive direction. Now, what does all that have to do with sexual assault prevention? Anybody want to take a stab at it? What did I just give you guys? Some examples and tools, right? These are examples and tools that you can use in daily life. I constantly have conversations with Dr. Carter about my job. This is not rocket science. If people would just keep their hands to themselves, I would not have a job. But for some reason, evidently it is rocket science, and you know, I'm pretty smart, I guess, I don't know. But here's the thing, these are the tools that you can use. If you see a situation where someone may be getting in trouble, step in. It is okay. If you are having a hard time sitting in this room listening to me saying terms like sexual assault, rape, sexual violence, do you think that at this age you're still even ready to have consensual sex? Maybe not. And that's not a bad thing. All right? I just spoke to 5 different sets of middle schoolers at Liberty Middle School today. You should see the faces when I say the word sex to them. And the funny thing is, I've seen a couple of those same faces in here with college students. All right? As SWU students, you guys are held to a different standard with your values and morals of what you're supposed to be doing. But here's what I want you to know. Non-consensual sex is sexual violence. It's sexual assault, it's sexual harassment, it's rape. All right? No matter what your values or your religious beliefs are, sexual violence is wrong. Okay? With that being said, I want you guys to think about when you hear people victim blaming, when you hear people having locker room talk and objectifying women or objectifying men, or you hear someone talking about, well, there's no way that that doctor could have sexually assaulted 274 gymnasts. Why didn't anyone speak up? Why did it take 15 plus years for 27 victims of Bill Cosby to speak up? Were you there? No. Do you know the parameters behind why they didn't speak up? Sexual violence is a problem that we continually create in our society because we like to place blame on the victims. So we don't want to think about it happening to us, right? We don't want to think about it happening to our sister, or our mother, or our grandmother, or our child, or our brother. It happens every single day. In Pickens County, we saw over 112 victims of sexual assault last year alone. Our county. That is not every sexual assault victim because they don't all come through us. We saw many SWU students last year. Incidents that happened all over the area. Of course, you know I can't give you specifics. It happens on this campus. It happens in this community. It happens to every age, every ethnicity, every gender. Our youngest sexual assault victim since I started working at PCAC 4 years ago was 18 months old. 18 months old. Our oldest sexual assault victim was 86 years old. All right? There is no age frame for sexual assault. Every ethnicity. Sexual violence does not know race at all. And we have a lot of ethnicities that underreport in this county. With males and females, we have a lot of underreported males. Most of the time we get disclosures from males after we do education presentations. I had a sexual assault victim 3 years ago that was 57 years old, and he was reporting a sexual assault that happened on Clemson University's campus 30 years ago. His father's boss brought him down to watch a football game and assaulted him that weekend. It took him over 30 years to report it because he was ashamed. He didn't want his father finding out. He didn't want his father to potentially lose his job. So it happens. This is not to scare you, all right, by any means, but it is for you to be more vigilant, to be more aware, and to be more supportive of your teammates and your SWU community, okay? Because if you guys aren't sticking together and stopping the victim blaming, and stopping the locker room talk, and stopping all of this stuff, who's going to do it? Do you think it's people that's older than me? No. Do you know on my Facebook, which I know you guys probably all don't use Facebook because it's for old people now, with all of the Me Too movement stuff going on and everything else in social media, do you know who my #1 group of victim blamers are on Facebook, on my Facebook? Middle-aged white women. Tearing people up. They're lying. There's no way that happened, blah, blah. Middle-aged white women, that's me now, unfortunately. Makes me sad. But we should be sticking together to make things better, right? Yeah, and we're still tearing down each other. So, do you guys have any questions? Any questions at all? I gave you a sheet with some statistics for college, and I know a lot of you are like, there's no way that 1 in 16 men get sexually assaulted in college. They do. And you know why? It's usually because of hazing. Alright, with fraternities, with sports groups, a lot of hazing is sexual in nature. You guys also have our brochure. We have 2 offices now. We're in Easley and we have a Clemson satellite office. Shh, just give me a couple more minutes. Our services are 24 hours a day and they are confidential. Whether you are a sexual assault survivor yourself or you need information. Shh, couple more minutes, guys. Alright? Not only do we want you guys to come to us if you need information, we love college students as volunteers. Because I can come up here and preach all day long, but does it come better from peers? You guys enjoyed watching your peers act out the scenario more than me standing up here talking, right? Yes, I know. So, we want volunteers. We want you to come to awareness events with us. We want you to come help us with presentations. We have a Clemson office. You can go down there and help us with Sexual Assault Awareness Month stuff. We've got Walk a Mile in Her Shoes coming up in April. We've got all types of different things to really focus on bringing our community together to fight sexual violence. We're not doing it through victim blaming. We're not doing it through, we're all a bunch of feminists, guys suck. We love men to be part of our movement to stop sexual violence. Dr. Carter is on my board. We're talking, how do we get more men involved? Because we want everyone to be involved to stop this. Alright, so I have business cards here. I think there are generic ones with our Easley office and Clemson office. I should have my personal ones in my bag. And I want to thank you all for listening. Like I said, I know you're tired. You guys have been great. I'm impressed that my voice has lasted this long. But if you want to get involved, please let me know. We want you guys. We love SWU students. That's all I have.